So out of all of the traditional style tattoos that I do, what is the one that I've done the most? Obviously, besides roses. I do roses all the time, and I add roses to a lot of different tattoo designs out there. But up second would be a skull. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to draw a traditional skull design that you could incorporate with other designs as well. If you're new to this channel, I'm Brandon from Tattooing 101, and make sure you like and subscribe down below so you can keep up to date on all the new content we make each week. Okay, so let's get into how to draw a skull. One thing I want to touch base on is I bought this a couple years ago, and it greatly helped out me being able to draw skulls and making my designs visually appealing when it comes to making art for tattooing, and that is an actual skull. I got this one online on Amazon, and it's really great. You could set it up where it's facing straight up, and you could draw the skull straight on, or you could turn it any single direction and just see how a skull actually looks. So using stuff like this and using references is going to greatly help your drawing when it comes to tattooing and creating your designs. So I'm going to be drawing the skull sideways a little bit. You'll still be able to see this eye socket right here and this one. So I'm going to set it up right like this, kind of a side view to show you exactly how I do that. As always, I always start out with my paper on a layer. I'm starting out with my pencil and with red. And as you can see, I added some wax to this skull at one point whenever I was doing a tattoo design to where it had like wax on the skull. So I did add some of that just for a reference of what it would look like pouring down a skull instead of just trying to copy someone else's design. That's how I set that up. So if that's something you want to do, definitely recommend you pick up one of these on Amazon. It'll help you a ton. So I set up my skull, how I'm looking at it and how I want to draw it, and we're just going to start with our shapes. So very lightly just going through and drawing our top shape for the top of the head. This is super important. Always start out drawing your shapes. It'll help you a ton when it comes to learning how to draw. So from here, I know that there's going to be 3 sections. The bottom of the jaw or the mouth right here. The bottom of the jaw will be down here, but we're just going to do the top section of the skull, not a bottom jaw on this design. And then the eyes will be right up from the nose. So the nose will be right here and the eyes will be right here. So at its simplest form, this is how your skull is going to be set up. Then obviously we could start to go through and create some more detailed designs with this, but at its core, this is how everything's going to be set up. Then we could go through and start adding a little bit of details. We're not going too crazy with this. On this step, we're just kind of sketching out where everything needs to go and following our skull right to the side to help us with our design. So that's that. Have the side come out, and we'll want a little bit of the nose bone peeking through. We don't want this to be too thick right here, and then it'll come down to the teeth. And depending on what style you're wanting to draw will kind of change the way you're drawing this. If it was traditional, it'd be super easy. You know, for the nose, you just do an upside down heart, really. Circles for the eyes, super easy, right? I'm doing a neo-traditional design, so we're going a little bit more detailed with this, but not too crazy. Neo-traditional designs, you will have a little bit of different line weights, but it won't be too hard. So if you're following along, this one won't be too hard to do, especially if you have the reference. I definitely recommend you pick up one of them. As you can see, our skull is coming together. Every step makes it easier to tell what it is. Whenever you first started out just seeing the random circles, it was like hard to understand exactly what I was drawing, but that's how your first step should look, and then just building from there. Going through here, blocking out everything where it needs to go. And the other side of the teeth will stop right there. Skulls are really fun to draw. I tattoo them a lot, and you could add roses to these, pretty much anything to a skull, and it still will look awesome. So learning to draw skulls is going to greatly help you out with your career. Now we could start on the teeth. I'm going to add some teeth to where they're not in the mouth anymore. It's where they fell out, just in random places with this design. This one right here we'll leave out too. Awesome. Alright, and I think I'm going to add a crack in his skull right here. And add some pieces to where it chipped off. Just to add a little dynamic to this piece we're working on. Right like that. Cool, so now that we have pretty much the rough sketch done here, we could go in to creating the rest of the design. So what we're going to do is turn the opacity down on this layer, then go in with our blue on a completely different layer. So we're going to draw over top of this one. If you're working with pencil and paper, this step will just be on a different piece of paper instead of a different layer, but you could do it with paper as well. With this step, I'm going through here, mapping out where everything needs to go. I'm also going to think about my line weights and different things when it comes to the full design. So now some little lines right here, some detailed smaller lines right here. And then just going through, pretty much following your design. This step should be super easy because you already pretty much went through all of mapping out where everything needs to go. You're just going through and making in detailed lines with your design. So here's the basic of our design. We went through and did all the little details, exactly where they need to go. We'll add in some of our smaller reference lines for when we go in with our liner. And we're pretty much done with this step. Now we can get rid of that red layer completely and go in with our final, which I'm going to change from a pencil to an actual steady brush for our final design on another layer. Turn down the opacity on this one and go through and complete our design and make it ready for a stencil. Use our technical pen for the different line weights in this design. I like to go back and forth when it comes to when I'm drawing. So with the teeth, I like to do the outside lines, the thick lines, and go back with thinner lines for all the little detailed areas. Now, depending on how you draw, this will change a little bit. This is just how I kind of like set up my designs when I'm doing them. Okay, and usually I like to start out with my thick liners first, and then I'll go in with all my details afterwards, just depending on the design. Sometimes I'll switch back and forth, sometimes I'll go through and do one at a time. Okay, now that we have all of the thick lines done, we can go in with our technical pen and do all of our detailed lines. These are going to be the different line weights that I do in my actual tattoo. So I'll be using a different liner. Usually I'll use like an 11 and a 7 or a 5, or a 14 and a 7, depending on, you know, the full look of the design that I'm wanting to do. And there you go. This is the completed design that I used my actual live skull to complete. If you're having issues struggling with drawing, I highly recommend you check out our Tattooing 101 sketchbook. Inside it has a ton of different designs that me and Nathan drew specifically for you guys. So if you're interested in something like that, I'll leave a link down below for you guys to check it out. As always, thank you guys so much for watching.